Hi, this is Katie Weeks, your independent, close to my heart maker, and today I am joining with the My Scrappy Life monthly virtual crop for the month of May 2023, and our theme is celebrating moms. I'm doing a Pinterest inspired challenge, and I have chosen this layout that was pinned by Paula Filial. I don't know exactly how to say her name. But I am using the background elements stamp set. I'm also using the Cherish card making stamp and thin cut and stencil set. And I'm going to take this layout and I'm going to take a picture and move it over to the right hand side. So this one isn't really a mom, it's a friend's daughter, but it's a feminine layout, and she has stripes going across her t-shirt, so I thought the strips of paper going across would work perfect with this layout. I do have a black Ore cardstock that I pulled out of my stash, and some papers from the Textures paper pack and the Storybook paper pack. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've cut the layers already. They're basically just strips of paper that are about 10.5 inches long, and they range from 3/4 of an inch wide to 1.5 inches wide. I've already gutted my black Ore cardstock, and it was 11.25 square, and I gutted it to get the photo mat for the photo, and it is 5.5 by 7.5, I believe. And I just took a big chunk out of the middle and then cut my frame. And I have some leftover leaves that I cut from a previous layout off to the side, made from just scrap pieces of green paper and cardstock. I'm going to be incorporating those. And the first thing I need to do now is stamp some of these background elements. And I've kind of laid out the strips of paper to get an idea of where I want to come in and stamp this. I am stamping with the Archival black ink. That's a really good acid-free, and it doesn't fade in your scrapbook. It's a really good ink for your scrapbooks. So for this part, I am stamping with the Archival black. And I kind of line up these strips and decide where to stamp things off at the top and on the sides. One of the strips of paper that I have from Storybook actually has some black splatters on it. So that's why I thought this background elements stamp set was perfect for this layout. So I'm just going to continue stamping it around, and I have another stamp that you see laying up there on my desk. And that one I really want it to kind of go along the bottom, under the very last strip of paper that I put on my layout. So as you're watching me assemble this, I want to welcome you to our crop and encourage you to go on to Pinterest, look at your Pinterest boards, and try to create a layout. You can do this particular type of layout, or you can do your own, and go ahead and try to make one of those layouts. So I'm ripping the ends of this first strip of paper and then putting it down. It was really important that I stamped did all the stamping before I layered it on, because especially where I had gutted out that paper, I might not have got the best stamp image. So now I will put this down. The front of this paper looks kind of like concrete that's been finished off, I think. And so it reminded me of the wall that was behind the girl in the photo. And so it looked like a concrete building of some sort. So that's why I chose this paper from the Textures paper pack. It's, I believe, a retired pack that we had maybe a year ago. So I'm putting down these strips of paper. They are from Storybook. They're also from the mix-ins that were from January through March that coordinated with Storybook as well. And I'm just ripping them at different lengths. And I'm ripping the paper toward myself. When you rip the paper, like with my right hand toward myself, it gives me a white core. So that's what you see me doing here. If I ripped it away from myself, and I'll show you that on the back, if I ripped it away from myself, you don't see the white core. So I did that on the back, so you still see the white core on the front. So the paper tearing, it just adds a kind of a visual interest to the layout. And she wasn't like super dressed up in the picture. She just looked very natural. And so I thought having the torn edges just kind of looked like the best way to go for these papers. When I just had them laying as plain strips, I just did not like it as well. So once I tore the edges, I thought that really added some interest. So this last one is a short little strip, kind of like it was on that inspiration picture on Pinterest, on that layout. And it didn't quite line up, so I used my black journaling pen just to put a few more dots to get up much closer to that last strip of paper. Now I'm layering the senior picture right on top of that black Ore cardstock. And I know you can't really tell from this unless you are watching on probably a bigger computer or something, but the black Ore gives it a really nice rich look. It's not as flat, it's a little bit shimmery, so it's not as flat as a cardstock would be. It just has a little bit of sparkle almost to it. So here I'm coming in with Cherish Cardmaking, the stamp set first. So I'm using the stamp first, and I'm stamping it with intense black ink. I have literally went in with a white gel pen and wrote on the front of my black stamp pads what I'm supposed to use each one for. So you probably can see my writing on there reminding me that the intense black is for my alcohol markers, for my watercoloring, and things like that. Well, I'm going to be using some distressed oxide inks, and sometimes we use a little bit of water or things with them, so I wanted to make sure I was using the right ink on that image. So I'm stamping that off, and then I go in on a couple scrap pieces of White Daisy, and I stamp the two biggest flowers as well. I kind of want to pop those up off of my layout and layer up these flowers and give it some dimension. So I'm stamping those extra flowers as well. So I like using my Misty because it really helps me line up what I am stamping, especially if I need to restamp it. Okay, so now I'm taking my thin cut that came with this set, and I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine from close to my heart, and I'm going to cut each of these. I won't make you watch me send those through, but here I have them all, and now I'm ready to do the stenciling. And I want to do this with my Distress Oxide inks. And so I kind of matched things up and decided what colors. I ended up going with Mowed Lawn Peeled Paint. Those are my two greens, and you'll see me start with those for my first stencil. And I actually just kind of stuck that little thing, that little die cut down to my all-purpose mat. I've cut one of my mats into smaller pieces to make it more manageable on my desktop. And I've used the stencil, and then I'm going to put it down with my 1-inch masking tape. I love this masking tape. Just don't rip it off the roll too fast. If you rip it too fast, it tears and it's just harder to work with. So make sure you tear that off the roll kind of slowly. So first I put on my Mowed lawn, and now I'm coming in with my peeled paint, and then I come back with that blending tool with the Mowed lawn and I blend it some more. That's the nice thing about these distress oxides. You can blend them and you can layer them, and it works really nicely. So then I'm coming in with my next stencil and doing the flowers, and you line them up very carefully again and put down your stencil. And I'm going to use first the abandoned coral and then spiced marmalade on it. I was trying to match the coral that is on that stripes in the papers from Storybook. So I blended those in, and I do the same thing with the extra flowers that I had stamped off as well. And then you come in with the spice marmalade and then come back again with the abandoned coral and just kind of work it till you get the blending that you want. And then the last stencil, you could actually use the last stencil to get those little buds that are around the flowers on the outside. I think they're on the bottom, the way I have this oriented right now, but I did not want those colored. I'm going to do something else with those later. So I just used the mustard seed to go in the very center of those 3 flowers, and I left those buds just untouched. And then I come in and I make sure I did the same sort of treatment on the extra flowers that I had stamped off. And then I will fussy cut these 2 flowers. I think I might have cut them with the die cut just to get some of the extra paper out of the way, but I decided I'd rather fussy cut the whole thing and trim them nice and close. So that's what I did with them. So if you are enjoying this video, I would like you to give me a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and then hit the bell, and it'll turn on the notifications and it'll tell you every time I upload one of my crafty videos. I try to upload a few times a month. I'm not to the Miranda Weber level quite yet, but I do try to put up some card videos every month and some scrapbooking videos every month. So I would love for you to see my videos. And I'd love to have you as a subscriber to my channel. Okay, so now I have these and I fussy cut everything out. And I am spritzing a piece of paper towel. Can you see the texture that's on that paper towel? It's really showing now that it's wet. And I'm just going to blot it on these die cuts. And you'll see, especially in one of the last photos at the end of this video, some of the texture, you can really tell it on the leaves. It gives it a nice texture. And you can also blot it like this, but it picks up some of the texture from that paper towel, and it just makes them look a little bit more natural, if you ask me. So the big flower I am putting on to the large die cut with the thin 3D foam dots. And then the smaller flower that's on the end, I'm going to use the regular 3D foam dots. So those are a little bit thicker, and so that flower will stand up just a little bit more than the other one. So that's how I layered them on. And you can still see the original die cut underneath with some of its ink and everything. So if you happen to look at it from an angle, it still looks pretty finished off. That's what I really like about this. Okay, so now I'm ready to come back to my layout, and there are a bunch of leaves and vines on the left-hand side and on the bottom of that photo. So I'm going to kind of continue with that theme. These were some leaves that were cut out of the layered leaves thin cuts and the leaf layers thin cuts. Those are retired, but we have some other adorable leaves that are available in thin cuts right now. And I just cut scraps of paper that were in my scrap pile. They were cardstock and papers that were greens. And so this, I made several leaves up for another scrapbook layout that I put up for a video, probably about a week ago or so. And so these are some more of those leaves that I had made. So I'm putting those all down, and then I'm going to put this beautiful Cherish card making die cut right on top. And now I am ready to do those little buds that are off to the side. So I'm going to continue with the whole coral theme. And I had looked at a couple different liquid pearls. Bisque is one of my favorites, and I pull that out a lot, but it just didn't look bright enough to me. So I'm bringing in the coral liquid pearls, and I'm just dotting those, and I'm very conscious to make sure that whichever way I'm starting, I'm not going to pull my hand across it. So I kind of started from the bottom and then worked my way up so that I can let it dry and not mess it up. But it has that color in her t-shirt, so it really adds another layer of texture, and it looks really nice. So once I have this done, I'm trying to decide what other thing I want, and I decide I will put her name at the bottom. So the first set of alphabet I don't know what I spelled with it. I must have spelled like eek or something and used like 4 or 5 E's because there's no E's left in that one. So then I used this other acrylic white set alphabet and spelled out her name, Reagan, at the bottom, and it looks really nice. I thought about coloring it, but I like it white. I like it just kind of subtle at the bottom, and it does stand up. It stands out some against that concrete because there's a little bit of color to that base page underneath it. And I just used some of my Redline tape. I have a really thin roll, and it's so sticky that it really holds those letters down. And I just put some of that on each letter, and there you go. That's pretty much all I had to this layout. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I appreciate you being part of our virtual crop if you are watching this as part of the Celebrating Moms virtual crop on My Scrappy Life. And if not, there is a link in my description below as to how you can join up with our virtual crop. It is monthly that we get together on a weekend, and I hope you can join us. Oh, can you see the texture in the leaves? That's the shot that's really good. Okay, I hope you can give me a thumbs up, subscribe like I mentioned before. Feel free to leave a sweet comment. Let me know if you were part of this virtual crop, and I hope to see you over in the Zoom room if so. Make sure you share this with your crafty friends, and have a great day. Bye.